Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another exciting episode of Primetime News. We have a lot to go over today, as usual, including important eBay updates, especially having to do with accounting and how you are going to appear in search results going forwards. We've got some important USPS updates as well, but I'm going to break tradition just a little bit today, and we are going to start off with the Primetime Crime Series. This is the second week in a row that I am leading off the broadcast talking about baby formula. Now, this story goes well above and beyond anything I talked about last week because this case involves a $200 million scam. Three people were just sentenced to 18 years in prison for it. It ran from 2013 to 2018. And what happened with this scam is that these three people were getting mostly baby formula, but there were some other FDA regulated products as well, but mostly baby formula for really cheap prices, like wholesale level or below, because they claimed that they had contracts with the government of Suriname to get these products to people in need. Well, it turns out that they never had such contracts, but they convinced them that they did. How they did that, I'll tell you in a moment. But what they were doing in the meantime is taking this product and selling it on the open market and making millions and millions and millions of dollars in profit. But as I've said in many of these stories, greed eventually catches up with you. The three main ways that they were able to get away with this for so long is one, they created fake shipping documents and just turn those into the suppliers. The second thing that they did is they actually did send shipments over, but they weren't shipments that contain the actual products. They had someone probably in Suriname to pick up like a fake box, a fake product or fake pallet or something like that. But in reality, it probably had something like feathers in it or, some really light item that didn't cost maybe that much to ship over there. But it wasn't the actual product, whatever it was that they sent. But that still gave them shipping documentation. The other thing that they did is they actually did send the product over. So in case they needed some visual that there was actually this baby formula landing there. But then what they did is they U-turned the product and had it sent back to them. And so they then had the actual documentation that product was shipped, but they left out the part that the product was actually shipped back. So very elaborate, right? But, as I said, eventually people wind up getting caught. And I always wind up scratching my head with this because it's just a constant thing with people trying to make money fast with, all of these crazy shortcuts and all these elaborate schemes. And if these people would have just put their minds together for honest purposes and to just create a serious, real, legitimate business, they probably would have done very well. But no, they, like many others, tried to get around things and do all this shortcut stuff. So now they're left sitting in prison for up to 18 years, and they lost all of the money that they wound up getting from illegal means. All right, now one of the other types of stories that I've covered this year has to do with these smash and grabs at different types of stores throughout the country. And it turns out it's not just so simple as someone or a small group of people breaking into a store to grab stuff to keep for themselves. It actually seems to be, at least in some instances, part of a much bigger conspiracy in which we have a lot of people involved planning to commit crimes. And this played out this week in New York when the New York Attorney General, who you see here, announced the arrests and charges against 41 individuals, including the ringleader of these smash and grabs, allegedly, we have to say at this point, but still, this person is alleged to have leased a warehouse that basically they planned on having people on the black market just come and shop for all of this stuff that was stolen. And it turns out that there was $3.8 million worth of merchandise that was stolen just in this a whole conspiracy alone. So we're talking, stuff from Bloomingdale's, Macy's, Rite Aid, CVS, Lowe's. I mean, you name it. So many big stores have been hit by this, but it is good to see that we are finally getting some real accountability, because that is something that I talked about earlier on. It's very frustrating to see this happen and there were no consequences. So this is at least sending a message, and I will, as usual, follow this case through to the end. All right, now I cannot seem to go 1 week without a story involving a USPS mail carrier involved in some massive fraud scheme. Sometimes it's actually a scheme against USPS. This time it's using USPS to actually carry out the scam, but it's against another agency. Now, this took place in California. And what happened is that the mail carrier plus someone who was on the mail carrier's route were involved allegedly. They were arrested for this, though, in this plan in which they stole 50 identities. And the assumption is here that they stole it based on, information that they got through the mail. And they basically applied for pandemic related unemployment benefits, and they were able to get these government issued debit cards to them, even though the names of some of the people that they used never even resided in California. So part of this, I mean, there needs to be a check within the actual state government to make sure that they're sending these cards to people who actually really reside there. I mean, how do you send the card? I mean, not that obviously the main fault is with the people who carry this out, but I mean, my goodness, there's got to be some better protections in place than this, because what happened is there was about $800,000 worth of these funds that were released, and they had stolen up to, they had like taken out about three to 400,000 worth, and they would, by all assumptions based on everything they were doing, it looked like they were just going to just eventually take it all out. I mean, that's almost $1 million that was going to be taken out, and they probably would have kept on going. So again, another crazy scam. All right, now in another crazy story, you could see here it says reseller Zata Kicks leaves customers with millions in outstanding orders. Well, as the name Kicks sounds, this is a business that involves sneakers. And basically, what this guy who ran the company claimed to be able to do was to get you these exclusive sneakers, and he would be able to get them for you on pre order. Now, he was able to get many people these sneakers. And as far as we know, they were all authentic pairs of sneakers. But what appears to have happened here is that this is a case of over promising and under delivering, because there were a lot of people who were paying for pre orders. So basically, as soon as a company would announce that there's this exclusive sneaker coming out, this company, Zata Kicks, would put it on their website available for a pre order. Now, some of these pre orders went up sky high in terms of price. I mean, there were some people who put in orders of 6 digits. So, $100,000 or more orders. But what happened is that there were many instances where he was not able to fulfill the order. So, what he would do in that instance is he would offer store credit. Well, that could get real dicey, right? I mean, how much do you trust store credit with someone who wasn't able to get you your $100,000 pre order? Or he would say that he could send you a refund, but there would be a lot of taxes that you would have to pay, that would be involved in this refund. And so, a lot of people wouldn't even take that because they wouldn't want to pay the taxes on it. So now there's a receivership that has been open because this business has now been closed down. It sounds like the guy, just got overwhelmed and it got past a point that he could deal with. And now it's just gone. So, my advice, public service announcement, there's one thing to order or pre-order, and I've done this. I've pre-ordered a Doctor Who DVD, for example, on Amazon for $25. That's different. Don't go and pre-order $100,000 pairs of sneakers, or hundreds of dollars, or thousands of dollars, especially when it's not from like a big company like Amazon. It's some guys running a side business with a website or something like that. You're gonna get burned. I don't care how many people are vouching for you. Eventually, a lot of these instances, you're going to get burned. So to prevent that, I would just stay away from any high price pre-orders. All right, now for some eBay updates. There was an important tax and accounting update that came out this week for those of you who use GoDaddy bookkeeping. I know there's many of you watching this who enjoy that program because you like the automatic importing of the transaction data into their software. Well, they just announced this week that as of June 18th, they are shutting that down. So they will no longer be importing that data automatically. The program is going to go away, and you have until September 30th of this year to download your online bookkeeping content, or it won't be accessible to you. So you really need to keep those 2 dates in mind if you've been using that software, because number one, you need to find another way to do your accounting. And secondly, you need to make sure that you download the information that's already there, or you won't be able to get it when it's time to do your taxes next year. So, what should you use as an alternative? I don't want to tell you a specific program. I'll let the comment section be a forum for that. For those of you who want to vouch for a particular product over another. Personally, for me, as I've said for a long time, I use Excel. So that's just a manual spreadsheet. And, Excel's not going anywhere. Even if it did, I could just copy and paste that data and just plop it into another spreadsheet program, because that's all it is. It's a basic spreadsheet program. Now, the con is it takes more time because I have to manually enter it. But, I just do it automatically. As soon as I do my shipping, I just enter my data. As soon as I come home from an estate sale, I have an expenditure, I buy supplies, I just automatically enter it. So you just get into a routine, and it's pretty simple for me. And, I don't have to worry about the program just going away and having just, you know, a brief amount of time to try to figure out what to do and deal with it. So it's definitely annoying for a lot of people. People are freaking out, but again, use the comment section to look into some alternatives. Now, in another update, eBay followed through with adding seller information directly into the search results. I really like this. They are going to make use of some of this white space real estate that's here, and it's directly in the line of sight of the buyer. So you could see if you have a sale or a promotion going on, it's going to mention that right here. See, it says save up to 10% when you buy more. Highlighted in red. That's great. It's going to have the seller name there. So that will be more recognizable, hopefully, to the buyer. So that name will get stuck in your mind. So think about having a catchy name for your business if you don't have one already. That can encourage repeat buyers. They will have the feedback number right next to it. They will also have the positive feedback percentage. So it's going to be more and more important to make sure you have that number up there, because people are going to now see that and pay attention to it more often. But what I like best about the update is that they have the door icon, which gets you directly into the person's store. So if you're hedging on a store, this is another good reason to get one, because that's going to increase sales for people, I think. So you can see here, I just put an example up of one of my listings. This is my latest one, lot of 69 Scholastic Fairy books. You can see here, I can now directly click the store link, and it takes me right to my eBay store. And, if you're top rated plus, it's going to say that as well. You'll get the badge, a person could hover over it. It says what that means. So, all that's good. So, round of applause for eBay on that one. All right, so if you sell clothes, two important fashion trends you need to be aware of right now. And these were published through the Modern Retail website. It's a site that analyzes retail trends, including those in the fashion sector. So, number one is that they noticed that loungewear and athletic wear, what people sometimes refer to as pandemic wear, has really slowed down significantly because people are getting out of the house more. They're just not lounging around and, hanging out cooped up inside. So, as their article says right here, you could see people feel the need to get dressed up. So, people are more likely to go out and wear something more formal, go to a special occasion, for example. So, special occasion wear like high heels, ties. Also, remember, people are more likely to go back to the in-person work setting as opposed to working as much from home. And so people are more likely to wear ties there. We've noticed a significant increase in tie sales over the last month. During the pandemic, our tie sales were horrible. but now they're much better. In fact, I just sold it high right before coming here to do this broadcast. Prom wear is up this time of year, which makes sense. Dresses, especially more formal ones, have gone up. Jewelry and accessories as well. Just keep that in mind as you're going out and sourcing, because you need to be aware of the trends in order to be able to sell the stuff that's in demand. All right, now in an important USPS update this week, it was announced that they plan to shut down 70 of the 80 mail processing facilities and wait for it, make the mail flow better through the system. How do you reduce it from 80 to 10 and make the mail flow through it better? It sounds too good to be true, right? Like on the surface, it sounds pretty crazy. But we have noticed, right? Many of us who have followed our packages as they go through tracking, that they go through the country sometimes in ways that don't make any sense. So that's what they're trying to tackle here by repurposing the existing facilities, the ones that they're going to keep, and adding more space to them, putting more docks in place, putting in more equipment and more conveyor belts and stuff. So, is this going to work or not? The jury is out on it. I'm not going to say it won't work, but I'm also not going to say it obviously will. Again, it sounds too good to be true. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Is this just a disaster waiting to happen? I don't know. I don't have a good feeling about it, but I guess we're going to see. So, wow. All right, now here's an interesting USPS story. I'm curious to get your thoughts on it in the comment section because it's a little controversial, but it basically involves a postal worker who quit working there in 2019 because USPS would not give him a blanket exemption to not work on Sundays so he could observe the Sabbath day. And basically, USPS's argument to the courts has been that this would create an undue burden on the other postal workers and on their system and their operations and processes because basically Sunday in that area is a big day for Amazon delivery. And so if this person was not delivering packages on that day, that work's going to have to get shifted to the other workers there. Now, it wasn't a unanimous decision most recently through the Court of Appeals, but it was a 2-to-1 decision. So, I was trying to think through it, and the way I thought about it was that if the postal worker knew when he signed up for the job that working on Sundays would be a requirement of the position, then he should not have applied for the position because he knew he would not be able to fulfill the requirement, and maybe he was just hoping after he signed on to get the exemption. But if when he signed on, they weren't doing those types of deliveries on Sundays, and then that was something added, and he just thought, well, guess what? I could take this job and I have Sundays off anyway, so I don't have to do deliveries. And then they try to make him do it. Then I think he should have got the exemption. That's how I think through it. But let me know your thoughts. All right. So, in another interesting and what I thought was an exciting update this week, eBay came out with their first ever NFT. They did this in association with a company called One Of. They made 13 of these NFTs, all of which were of the hockey legend Wayne Gretzky, and they were all limited editions. That helps make them more collectible. I picked one of them up. I'm going to show it to you in just a moment if you're curious. And a lot of people are curious, but a lot of people are also confused because the acronym just looks confusing, NFT. And even when you hear that it stands for non-fungible token, that just makes it even more confusing. So the way to think about it is that it's a digital collectible. That's right, it's digital. So that means you can't actually hold it in your hands. I mean, you could technically print it out on a piece of paper, but that's not what it's intended for. It's intended to use on your devices. Now, a lot of people joke about them and say, well, yeah, I'm not going to pay the money for this stuff. I'm just going to take a picture of it and I'll just have it on my phone. And there, now I have the NFT and I didn't have to spend any money for it. Not really. So, first of all, a lot of the NFTs are actually 3D and they move around and do stuff. And so, if you just took a picture of it, you're not gonna be able to do that. But more importantly, all NFTs, they come with a unique identifier that proves that it's yours. In other words, it's like a certificate of authenticity that proves it's the authentic one. And that's real important, especially if you're dealing with limited editions. Anyone who wants to buy or trade with you is going to want to have that type of proof. So let me show you an example here. This is the Wayne Gretzky NFT that I purchased. I got the blue one because blue is my favorite color. It's pretty neat. I like how it's like kind of shiny in the background there. And you can see, yeah, this is a digital collectible. Now, you could see there it says they made 299 of them and that there's 0 left. It does say 285 sold, and I believe that's because there were 15 other ones that were different in some way and they cost a little more. So that's what they do sometimes. It's like almost like a variant. Like if you think of like comic books, they change it up in some way and they only make a few of those and those cost more. Oh, look, we got an offer that's coming in there. So, when you purchase it, what happens since they're working with another company, you're actually purchasing it through this company called One Of, but you're doing it through eBay. So eBay is getting a cut. And you can see here, it'll say, congratulations, you've added to your NFT collection. To claim your purchase, go to this link. So you go there. If you're new to One Of, you'll need to sign up first. Signing up is free and takes less than 2 minutes, which is true. Didn't take long. So here you could see I'm actually at the site. And so now I have my account, shows you when I joined, and I have my own sports collection right here. And I have this NFT and it is forever mine. And, like I said, I have a unique identifier that proves that it's mine. Also, there's another one they gave me for free just for signing up. So you can see here it says my music collection. So this is one of some jazz festival or whatever. So it came free. So I just picked it up. But I'm excited about it. I thought it was cool. It's not for everybody for sure. But I do think that there's going to be a lot of things that are digital in the future. And I'm all about jumping on trends, in the beginning and just trying to get used to it, trying to get involved in it and seeing if it's worth it or not. All right. Now, if you're wondering, can these things be resold in the future? Yes, they can. You can resell them on eBay. eBay has allowed for the resale of NFTs for about a year now, but this is the first time that they have actually released their own NFT in association with another company. All right, Etsy sellers, watch out because Etsy has announced a new program to improve buyer protection. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with improving buyer protection. In fact, I buy on a lot of these platforms myself, including Etsy. So, sure, I want buyer protection when I purchase there, but buyer protection needs to be balanced out with seller protection. Once those are out of sync with one another, then you have a platform problem. So we'll have to see how this gets implemented because Etsy has not released the details yet. But what happens now typically is if a buyer has a complaint about something that they purchased, let's say it arrived broken, they just didn't like it, they dispute the description in terms of some characteristic about the item, or they say, we haven't received the item yet. Etsy typically sends the buyer to the seller and tells them to work it out. Now, are they not going to do that anymore? Are they going to do it less? Are they just going to judge the case by themselves and decide what the intervention should be? Are they going to say, you know what? We just think we should give this person a refund. So we're not even going to get the seller's input and we'll just take the money out of the seller's account. If that happens, you can count on more protests. If Etsy has some kind of reserve aside, given all the profits that they made during the pandemic, and they say, you know what? We're just going to try to make the customer happy, but we also want the seller to be happy. We don't really think the seller did anything wrong here, but let's just make the buyer happy and we'll give the buyer, some money back or something like that. If that's what they want to do, that's a different scenario. We'll have to see. I'll keep tabs on it. All right, now a few lighter stories to end us off. There was this lady named Stephanie Russo who came back to her house and she saw these two packages at her front door. She opened them up and inside she saw these two colorful posters. But she said, I didn't order any posters. So she took a closer look and she saw that they were postmarked in 1971 to the prior owner of the house. So they contacted the prior owner And he said, "You know what? My dad used to order marketing materials from these different companies. And so this had to be one of the things that he ordered that got lost along the way." Now, the end of the story is a little weird because it says there were 2 posters delivered, and Russo decided to keep one and give the other 2 to Feigert, which is the name of the person who used to live in the other house. I don't really get how that math works, but anyway, it seems like each of them got at least 1 poster, so I think everyone's happy at the end of the day, but, interesting thing when, mail gets delivered 50 years late. All right, here we go again. Another one of these articles in which people rush out to get a commemorative item and then list it on eBay for thousands of dollars. And it leads people to believe, based on how these stories are covered, that if I could just get a Biggie Smalls Metro card, then I could make $5,000 with it. But no, you can't. First of all, there's a difference between, as this link says, seeking near than $5,000. Yeah, you could seek it all you want. It doesn't mean you're going to get it. Let's go check the completed solds for it. The highest one has ever sold for is $500 if it was even paid for. We don't even know that because sometimes with these high priced items, the person never paid. Then you get 300, 200. So I always advise in these situations scrolling down to get a better sense. You see a lot of cross outs where there were best offers accepted. So you really want to try to get down to where you're not seeing that. And this is really more realistic. That $80 seems to really be towards where these things are going for, maybe even towards the upper end, because there are some that are going for lower, but that seems to be a more realistic upper end. And if you go and look right now, you wanna buy one, yeah, look at that, that's the cheapest you could get one as a buy now, $74. Now, you also have to be mindful with anything trending like this, this just came out, so the market is really high on it right now. A year from now, what's the market gonna look like on these? Probably much lower. He's already passed away, so what new is gonna happen that's gonna make it more valuable? I can't think of anything. So you gotta be careful if you're trying to get these things as investments, because probably not going to go up much. All right, now this last story, they literally had to call out the hazmat unit to the Waukesha, Wisconsin Goodwill store for too much dust. How much dust has to be in the store for the hazmat unit to be called out? We probably have some people here who have gone to this Goodwill who could tell us in the comment section if this place is known for being really dusty. I mean, it says in the article that over 12 people had trouble breathing. The hazmat team went in, they cleared it of any hazards. I don't know if that means that they went in with a giant vacuum cleaner or something. Like, what happened? And no one was hospitalized or anything, and then they let people back in. But, it kinda reminds me of some of the places I've gone to. I probably should have called a hazmat team out to that dungeon that I went to. Do you remember how much dust was in that place? Oh my goodness. Or, how about this one? Remember the House of Horrors that I went to in 2018? This is for the longtime prime timers. There was animal feces on top of the items. It was that bad in there. Wow, look at that. Hey, I still look pretty similar. Look at that, 4 years later. All right, everyone. Well, that's another episode of Primetime News. Now it's 1 o'clock in the morning, so I don't want to wake Mrs. Primetime up by yelling out "Take care" really loud or causing all of the items to crash down again. So I'm not going to throw my notebook across this time. Just going to say "Take care" really lightly. I just took some notes on a post-it, and so I should be okay with that. So I'll just do a little toss over. We should be okay. I'll see you at the next video, everyone. Oh no. Oh, no. I'm gonna be mad. Oh my God.